Ask the Professor, and I'm here with Erin Connor, but we know you as the person behind the scenes of the Master Chef, and that we're going to do that a little bit later. But what you have offered is to kind of talk about your journey from going from University of Georgia into, as I call it, a big girl job. But if you could share some tips, I think this is a great audience with these students, of kind of like, how did you find your job? Because it sounds really great. How did you do that? And maybe some advice, like looking back. What can you offer?
Totally. Well, hey everyone, I'm Erin. It's so nice to meet y'all. I'm originally from Roanoke, Virginia, and I recently graduated from the University of Georgia in the spring of 2024. I now work full-time as a marketing and PR coordinator for a concert promoter based in Athens, Georgia, called Six String Southern Productions. At my time at the University of Georgia, I majored in public relations and also earned a music business certificate. And my job really just forms a connection and true relationship between both areas that I've studied. Um, Graduating college and going through college in this day and age is definitely not easy, especially with the rise of just social media and just being able to see what other people do, to compare yourself or just, sometimes it's not always the most positive things that you're seeing, out there on the internet, especially about the job search and everything like that. And with the applications just being so online heavy, I definitely was finding that I just kept not getting any leads, and it was just difficult to even secure something before I even graduated. Um, Looking back, I was really glad that I did the experience and applied online and tried with my resume. But ultimately, at the end of the day, connections is really going to be where you find success in that entering your next path, whether if it's a job, whether it's grad school, you name it. How I got my job, I met with one of our music business advisors a little bit after I graduated, about maybe 2 weeks. And I just met with her and kind of talked to her about some of the things that I had done during my time with the music business program. I did some internships and things that were kind of within the realm. I interned for a smaller local promoter my first semester in the program, and then I also interned for a merchandise company that screen prints t-shirts, posters, you name it, Alice Cooper to Fish. They print locally here in Athens, Georgia, which is pretty cool to, know that so much kind of can come locally that you don't even realize. But so when I met with Lane Marie, she's great. I really, really respect and value her advice to me was she just gave me some names and contacts, and I took it upon myself. I sent one email from
Hmm.
that conversation to my now coworker Haley Fort at Six String. She is our talent buyer and promoter rep here. And I just emailed her and basically said something along the lines of, I just graduated. I really would love to learn more about what you do. That's an area that I'm looking to pursue in a career, and I would just love to learn how you got into it. And, I would love to meet with you sometime. And a few weeks later, I met with her at a coffee shop, and we really hit it off great. And a little bit during that conversation, she mentioned that they needed to fill their marketing position and that she wanted me to meet her boss. And one thing led to another. I received a job offer in my inbox, and it was for a salary position in the music industry. And I just could not believe that that was the reality of what was going on. But I know that it all happened because of putting myself out there, going to things locally, getting to know people locally that are in the industry that you want to pursue. In Athens, there's a bunch of music here. It is a pretty music well-known town. REM is from here in the B-52s and more. And just, I knew I wanted to pursue something in music, but I knew that I wasn't, going to be an artist or anything kind of on that level. But there's just so much involved with music that they need people like me, or maybe even like you, that are kind of working behind the scenes to help make events as successful as possible. So with that, I started my time here at Sixth String last July, and I have loved it. I've been so grateful to be a part of this awesome company. Being an independent promoter is definitely something that we hold very highly. When you have all these big corporations that are also kind of doing the same thing, but we ultimately at the end of the day, we really do care, and we are very tailored in all that we do, and really just want to curate something that will create a successful event. We just had the MasterChef All Stars live show in Pensacola this past Sunday at the Sanger Theater. That is the main venue that we work in Pensacola. We've done a few shows there so far. We did Gary Allen in Pensacola. We've worked with Blackberry Smoke sometimes. And we're also about to announce another show coming up in March in Pensacola. So stay tuned in the next few weeks for some more music coming to Pensacola. But a lot about my job is I'd really try to connect locally, very grassroots oriented, because there's no cost to having good research and to contact folks that are local that you might think would be interested in the show, or to partner, and it would be kind of, a shared relationship in that way. Um, so for MasterChef, that was definitely one I really had to get outside of the box. I worked with, Melissa Bailey over at Visit Pensacola on some ideas, and she had recommended to me to reach out to you, Allison, at UWF, and some other folks like Local Pulse, and some things locally in the area, and just really got to know people in Pensacola and kind of how to market it to them. We also partnered with some of the seafood festival folks that their event happened the week before ours, but really just kind of getting to making sure our events are being seen by local people, especially in the Pensacola area, and just, connecting and making sure I kind of know, okay, well, if this market likes this kind of thing or had a good response, I will take that to my team, who does the decisions of buying, and maybe they'll look into some more shows that were successful, like ones previously done, in that. But I work all across the Southeast. Pensacola is not the only market we work in. We've even worked in Mobile. Dothan, Alabama is a big one for us. A lot in Georgia, South Georgia with Tifton and Albany, Georgia. And then we're based in Athens, Georgia. So we do some events as well in this part of the state. But truly the things that I wish that I could have told myself that semester before you graduate, which is a pretty tough semester in general. You have a lot on your mind, you're overly thinking about the future, and you just think that you kind of realize your expectations don't always meet the reality, and that can be a little bit of a tough thing to deal with and work with. But just know that when it is tough, that's okay, because if it's not tough, it means that you're not growing. If it's not tough, when it's tough, you grow, and that's the part of your life now that you are meant to grow and blossom in your own avenue and your own as a person, and as work with a community that you find, whether if it's still in Pensacola or you move somewhere else, that is all about kind of what growing up is, and why it's important to really create those relationships, so when you are kind of now out of that college student sort of definer, you're able to move on and know things. And I specifically would recommend looking at your interests. Take away kind of your major and what you've maybe studied, and look, okay, well, what things would be interesting to me to work for? What industry, what domain? Would it be fashion, beauty? Would it even be sports or the entertainment industry, or music. There's so many industries out there that all need people to do accounting books or manage budgets or reach out to people and be communicators. And so don't limit yourself for maybe not having some perfect thing in mind, but when you start with an interest, it'll make it a lot easier because relationships form on shared interests, right? And that's really the key to being successful in this kind of, period of time where you're trying to figure out what you want to do. And for me, I just always made sure to put myself out there in college, whether if it was going to some small events. My program would do different MBUS talks, is what they'd call it, and they'd have different industry professionals come and speak to the students each week. And I took another class called corporate communication, and we had C level, C-suite officers come in each week from big corporations like Delta, Molson Coors, um, Home Depot, the Arthur Blank uh, foundation that's based in Atlanta, and they own the Miracle Hospital and the Atlanta Falcons, Atlanta United, and the Mercedes-Benz venue. They all manage all of that. So there's a lot of areas and things that you can morph, just like I did, what you studied plus an interest to create a successful environment for your first job. And I really recommend putting yourself out there and sending those cold emails to people because you just never know who will get back to you and answer you. And that could lead to something like it did for me. And now I'm getting to work a dream first job. And, that's kind of hard to come by nowadays. But if you keep being persevering through it and continue to just fight for what you want and what you deserve and work hard for it and be kind and loving to everyone at the end of the day, I feel that there is success there. And so that's kind of the main thing that I've taken away was making sure I had connections, regardless if there was some job lined up. Well, I know that this person does this, and I know they know people and they like me, and we're acquaintances. I could go to them and offer and ask for advice, and they would offer it to me. And I think that's just ultimately people want to help others, especially
Right.
see younger generations succeed.
Mhm.
And, we're kind of at a turning point right now with just the increase of technology and AI and, staying true to yourself and you as an individual, as a human, as a person is important. And hold on to your values and your ideas because they are important and they're yours.
Mhm.
And no computer can come up with an idea from you. And ultimately, at the end of the day, you have to hold on to that because that's really what will set you apart from other people.
And thank you for that. You had a lot of things in there. So I kind of want to just hit on a couple and either talk or see what if I'm totally off on this. So I teach HR, actually,
Mhm.
that's my area. And it's my area, it's culture, it's org learning, anyhow. But one of the things that I always say is this is as a college student, you have the opportunity to say you're a college student and go knock on and knock, in any sense of the term, either an email or literally knock on somebody's door, or do whatever LinkedIn message. This is the only time that you really have to say, hey, can I get more information? I'm a college student. I'm interested. And you're right. Most of us want to help because once you get that degree and you're no longer a college student, you're looking for a job, right? So
Mhm.
that I'm kind of echoing what I heard you say, which is do that. And also it's those who show up. And it doesn't start the moment you graduate. So I really liked how you talked about that last semester, maybe getting in your mind a little bit too much, and the expectations are there because all you've known, if you're a traditional age student, all you've known all of your life is going towards a goal, and that goal is education. And once you're done, it's kind of like nobody tells you. So that I think is a really good thing to say. I loved what you said about your interest. I think we don't talk about that enough, especially in a business school, because we're so focused on getting the degree versus really what is your interest, because you're going to fly. You're going to be around people that you like, right? And if you're doing things that are not of your interest, those are probably people you don't like. So it's really hard. Anyway, I just wanted to say that. So plucking out the networking is a huge thing that, and that has served you well afterwards. Cold calling, if you will, you're going to get rejection. You're going to get radio silence, but you're going to get an email from Haley that says, let's go have coffee. That turned into a job, right?
Hmm.
So that was a cool thing. So thank you for sharing. I'm going to go ahead and, is there anything else? I was going to say, tell us one last little tidbit that you would give, like a super secret thing while you're waiting. What is a super secret? Like, I wish I would have done, I didn't do, or I did this and it was super.
Just kind of like in college or the job hunting process or
Either
anything.
one.
Okay.
Either one. What have you learned? Because it should be fresh in your mind.
I think I've learned that sometimes, even if you have a test the next day, if there is something that you want to go to and be present at, go. Screw the test. Go to the event because you can never get those memories back, and you never know the
What is,
people you meet or the friends you make, and you never know if, and also just being kind to everyone and caring to ask them how they're doing. Even if you're at work, working at your retail job or you're bartending or serving, taking the time to make those people feel like you care and get them to open up to you, you also never know where that will lead. And I have had several experiences that have kind of streamlined my time living here in Athens, Georgia, that because I cared to ask or try to find some common ground with folks, that's led me to some of my best friends in everyday life and other opportunities that have come my way. But those two things would be what I wished I would have told myself more, just in the whole process of even working and being a college student. Go to the concert,
yeah,
go get dinner with your friends, go make the trip home to see your parents and family. If you feel that that's what you want and doing what you want will ultimately help make everything else and the other time that you give, when you give yourself some time, it'll
yeah,
all
yeah.
turn out okay.
That's good. I like that. So on that, we're going to end the Ask the Professor, Ask Erin advice, and then we're going to go on to our Waves of Impact podcast next. So
Awesome.
hang on. Let me stop that recording.